At 11 p.m. London time, or midnight in Brussels, Britain officially leaves the European Union, after 47 years of ties to Europe. The UK is quitting a 28-nation bloc of almost 500 million people, which for almost 5 decades has taken part in setting rules for UK trade, agriculture, environmental protection and many other domains. The big question is, what is next after the break? We will cover the impacts of the Brexit in a dozen domains in this video, so make sure to watch till end. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, so you don't miss out on important topics. Getting back to Britain's departure, this is the first step. The UK and the EU negotiated a breakup deal that includes an 11-month transition period, in which basically relations will stay unchanged. Citizens of both sides can continue to travel, work and live anywhere across that territory for the rest of the year, and UK businesses remain part of the EU's single market. So far, so good, because most people in Britain and the EU will notice little change this year. However, some people will be affected immediately. After 11 p.m. London time, British citizens in some EU countries will lose the right to vote or run for office in local elections. After the transition period ends, sealing a deal will require compromises and trade-offs. In the worst-case scenario, if there is no deal by the end of 2020, and the UK refuses to extend the negotiating period, Britain could be heading towards a bad economic break from the bloc, with tariffs to trade imposed between the UK and the EU. That would likely end up in harsh economic disruptions, the pound would plunge and Britain could fall into recession. EU officials consider that best possible future relationship will never be as good as membership. Are they right? Let's take a look at what we can expect after the Brexit. First of all, the UK has to decide how close a relationship it wants with the European Union, which currently pays for almost half of UK exports. Many companies, already worried about the Brexit uncertainty, could barely afford new trade barriers. If those come, they will either have to raise prices or fire people. UK car production fell about 14% last year, due to trouble in key overseas markets, the diesel trouble and the uncertainty over Brexit. A free trade agreement with Europe, therefore, becomes essential. Let's check out some key domains now. UK citizens will be permitted to travel or work anywhere in the EU, this probably won't change in the future. Flight delay compensation rules won't change, either, because EU rules have been written into UK law, so compensation for delays remain the same. You'll be able to travel as usual to the EU this year, but from next year you'll have to buy a £6 visa waiver for holidays and short stays. Also, to work or study, or for trips longer than 90 days you may need extra documents as well. Starting with 2021 when visiting most EU countries and Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland, on travel day you'll need your passport to have at least 6 months left and be less than 10 years old. The European Health Insurance Card will continue working this year, after that, it is unsure. Concerning your phone, mobile providers will be able to start charging again for roaming in 2021. If traveling, you should receive the same protection as before, irrespective of the Brexit. You'll need an international driving permit to drive in some European countries, which cost almost £6. If you're a UK license holder living in the EU, it is advised to exchange your UK driving license for a local EU driving license before the end of the transition period. After January 2021, you may need to pass a driving test in the country you live. When it comes to financial security, UK citizens will still be protected up to £85,000, in case their bank goes bankrupt. EU banks, operating in the UK will still be able to offer savings accounts to UK customers. One of the most important questions of many people, what will the impact on EU citizens living in the UK be? Because the Brexit will have immediate impact on almost 4 million people living in the UK, who are citizens of other EU countries. If you are one of them, here's what you need to know. First of all, you'll have to apply to stay here long-term. If you're an EU, EEA or Swiss citizen living in Britain, you and your family may have to register with the EU settlement scheme to continue living in the UK after the 30th of June 2021. Settled status will be given to successful applicants who by the time they apply have been living in the UK for at least 5 years. But what will the impact on UK citizens living in the EU be? We are talking about approximately 1,300,000 people here. If you are a UK national lawfully residing in another EU country on December 31, 2020, you will be able to stay in that country after Brexit and have the same work, study and public service benefits as before. You and your family may need to apply for a residence status, confirming by this, that you were already resident in the EU country you live in before December 31, 2020. When it comes to studying abroad, you will still be able to access the Erasmus Plus program. From next year, it all depends on the agreement between the two sides. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe, like and comment below.